Well, bonjour tout le monde. Thank you so very much for that. And of course, I stand here on this podium as, Canada's longest serving trade minister. But I have to tell you, not by much, because there's a predecessor whose heels I follow and who set an enormous example for those of us who follow in the Honorable Pierre Pettigrew, who also happens to be the chair of the Asia-Pacific Foundation. It's really great to be here with everyone. I am really delighted that my good friend and colleague, my Singaporean counterpart, Minister Grace Fu, is here. I was saying to Grace, it's really wonderful to see her here in Singapore because she and I do work, and often is the case we are meeting in places around the world, but not in Singapore. So it really is a delight to be here. And Grace said to me, well, it's wonderful because we've even provided cooler weather for you. So for those Canadians who think this is cooler weather, when we just left our snowstorms, there you go. And of course, I'm delighted to be back in Singapore. Two very important reasons. The first, in 2025 marks the 60th anniversary of our diplomatic relationship between Canada and Singapore. And I think we have built something quite remarkable between our two countries over these many decades as friends, certainly as trading partners, as part of the CPTPP, the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership, and I am certainly looking forward to another 60 years of trusted partnership and of shared success and of friendship. And then, the second reason, I get to be here. This is the third anniversary, the third annual Canada-in-Asia conference with this incredible room. As Jeff said, it's 750 strong. It really does speak to the vision for what CIAC, was set out to be in the first instance, which Jeff laid out so wonderfully. And that is having that convening power as Canada. That ability to convene through this important conference where business leaders, government leaders, academic leaders, nonprofits, and just a wide range of important people and stakeholders across Canada and certainly across this dynamic Indo-Pacific region come together and to foster and to build this relationship. And I think if you look around this room, and I was at the opening reception last night with lots of energy and lots of just friends, old friends seeing one another, new friends chartering new relationships. I think the relationship between Canada and the Indo-Pacific doesn't look, is stronger than ever and off to a wonderful, wonderful start after 3 years of this conference with many more years to come. I also want to thank Gabe for you and Universities Canada, who this year, together with the Asia-Pacific Foundation, has taken on quite the heavy lift of helping to organize this. So thank you so much, and to your teams at both Universities Canada and, of course, the Asia-Pacific Foundation. Many members of the board are here as well, so thank you so much. And a big thank you to everyone in this room. Everyone in this room has decided to show up. You've decided to show up and to be here and to be a part of the dialogue, the relationship building, and to have those kinds of conversations that I think are wonderful sharing of how we continue to participate in each other's mutual success, but also to have those more difficult conversations. And I actually think that through these dialogues, we might be able to kind of tease out what we could possibly be doing together, as Jeff says. I mean, these side tables that are together, whether it is how the nuclear industry and how we can build out clean energy through nuclear in the region, how business leaders might be able to do more business together here in this region, and having those conversations around the geopolitical environment that we all find ourselves in right now. And, as Canada's trade minister, I sort of think of my job, it comes down to really two things. It is building bridges and it's creating opportunities for our businesses and our people to grow into markets internationally like those that are here in the Indo-Pacific. And I think it is more critical than ever now. The times that we find ourselves with global uncertainty, working together with trusted partners has never been more essential. And let me share with you a little bit of what we have done together. And I'll focus on trade. I was actually putting these things together, and I've whittled down to 5 pages of notes from something like 20. So, so I wish I could do the 20, but then I'd be here the whole day. So let me stick to sort of the trade lane. As partners in the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership, that's 12 countries that are in that partnership, that trade agreement. The United Kingdom just joined last year. It came into force in 2018. That agreement now connects Canadians and all of us together to a market of 580 million people. So over 500 million people through this excellent trade agreement. Then the results, we're seeing the results. Every year, I was in Singapore one year when they were hosting and chairing the CPTPP, and we were able to take stock of how well this is working for our economies. And Canada chaired the CPTPP last year. And what we are seeing is we're seeing growth. 20% growth in 2022, and another increase of 5% in 2023. It has been a consistent trend line of growth bilaterally between the countries that are in the CPTPP, but multilaterally among all of us who are in the CPTPP. So we are getting benefits for this. And in Canada, this is over 300,000 jobs created in Canada, specifically through job growth by the companies that are growing into these markets. These aren't numbers, they are jobs. They are innovations that are going into markets, and they really are growth opportunities that's going to create benefits for not only Canadian communities, but those throughout the CPTPP. And this matters a lot to Canada because Canada is a trading nation. 1 out of 6 jobs is related to trade. 2/3 of our economy is related to trade. So having high standard quality agreements where we can count on them, where businesses can count on those rules is absolutely essential. And the CPTPP's success just shows what is possible when you have a high standard agreement that upholds transparent, predictable, rules-based trade with strong provisions for labor and environmental protections. That is also what is at the heart of the Indo-Pacific strategy, which we launched in 2022, backed by a $2.3 billion investment over 5 years. And we recognize that the Indo-Pacific is going to be critical to Canada and to Canada's future for generations to come. Every issue that matters to Canadians, be it economic prosperity, national security, respect for international law, democratic values, public health, protecting our environment and human rights, these are going to be shaped by the relationships that Canada has with its allies and its partners and its friends here in the Indo-Pacific. Permettez-moi de vous faire part de quelques-uns des projets réels que nous avons accomplis dans le cadre de cette stratégie. I'll just share with you a bit of the progress that we've made here. I have, as the trade minister, it's one thing to be able to negotiate trade agreements. I often call those the bridges, but we need businesses to walk across that bridge and get into those markets to be successful. And because of this strategy and because of our focus, I have been able to, and our teams have been able to lead what we call Team Canada trade missions. So we have been throughout this region. I can confidently say that we have been literally throughout the entire region with hundreds and hundreds of businesses, whether it be here in Singapore, in fact, we started in Singapore, to Japan, to South Korea, to Malaysia, to Vietnam, to Indonesia and Philippines, just Australia a few days ago, and tonight I leave for Brunei. We have planned trade missions to Thailand and to Cambodia, and we will make a return back to Laos. These trade missions are absolutely essential because hundreds upon hundreds of Canadian businesses come on these trade missions to get into these markets, and they become transformative for their growth. It becomes transformative for the partnership that we're creating in these dynamic markets. When it's hundreds of businesses that come through, I see thousands upon thousands of business-to-business interactions, connections, investments, prospects, contracts. These are all getting done at every single one of these trade missions. And today, I would say, trade diversification, I think everyone will agree, especially in Canada, has taken on a special meaning. Growing beyond our largest trading partner, which will continue to be strong, I believe, But I think today is creating a reflection point for Canadians about how important diversification is. So we have access to over 65% of the world's economy through Canada's free trade agreement. And I think that it would be really terrific that businesses, in fact, I think the imperative is that that you're going to have to cross those bridges. You're going to have to cross them and take your businesses and your investments into these markets. And we are seeing the success across the spectrum of so many sectors, from Canadians' traditional sectors in resource and agriculture, but to those that are providing the opportunities and the solutions and the businesses and the investments that's relevant to today's economy and certainly the economy of the future, from energy to food security, to digital innovations like AI and quantum, to clean technology companies, to mining, sustainable mining solutions, to infrastructure that is going to contribute to smart city solutions, and to excellence that Canada has that contribute around circularity and companies that are providing real solutions to address the effects of climate change and getting into those international supply chains here in the Indo-Pacific is exactly what we see on the ground every day. And the ambassadors who are here from across the region, the trade commissioners that are here from across the region, and our excellent trade toolkit. EDC, Export Development Canada, now has a physical presence with offices in virtually every single country in this region. It's boots on the ground. And you'll hear from FinDev a little later. They've got something exciting to tell you. Around the ASEAN, Canada now has been elevated to be a strategic partner, really, really important. We've opened Canada's first ever Indo-Pacific Agriculture and Agri-Food office in the Philippines, with the ambassador over there not only serving Philippines, but in fact it is a hub for the region, doing really, really dynamic work. But the trade toolkit is the Trade Commissioner Service, it is EDC, it is the Canadian Commercial Corporation, it is Invest in Canada, it is Farm Credit Canada. These are the powerful crown corporations and instruments of the Government of Canada, working with its provincial colleagues and regional development arms across cities and communities across the country to make this happen and to support Canadian businesses. And yesterday, I was able to announce a $7.3 million investment in the Canadian Trade Gateway for nuclear development. A really, really important initiative that I want to thank so many in this room who have played a vital role. We are just about to start with this investment, but the Gateway is going to convene expertise from Canada's private sector as a Tier 1 nuclear nation that is focused on non-proliferation of nuclear, working with partners here in the Indo-Pacific to position Canada as a global nuclear leader and to partner in the region to contribute to the region's energy security. It's going to create important relationships between Canadian businesses, regulators, important stakeholders, including the university network. In Canada, there's a the University Network of Excellence on Nuclear Engineering. So real capabilities in Canada that we would like this region to think of us as a partner of choice. And of course, the Canada-ASEAN Business Council, a really important business organization here that connects Canadians to the businesses and to stakeholders here across the ASEAN region. So all of this is to say is that these relationships are crucial. You being here is crucial. And I think I said this last night. It's important to show up and to keep showing up and to keep doing this work together. And during today's major geopolitical shifts and economic challenges, it's going to be vital that Canada and the ASEAN continue to promote the rules-based multilateral trading system, and we're going to continue to do that. ASEAN, of course, is Canada's 4th largest trading partner, and we have concluded a comprehensive free trade agreement with the largest, the largest member in population, that is, in Indonesia in December. We've launched exploratory trade discussions with Philippines, and we are and have been at the negotiating table for a Canada-ASEAN FTA, which we will conclude at the end of 2025. So a lot of work to do, a lot of work to continue to do. Know that your government, along with so many in this room, are going to continue doing the work to build these connections, to build these bridges. And the call to action, as I did last night, was keep showing up. We've got to be here for us to do this work together. Our efforts to deepen the economic integration based on the principles of fairness and rules-based is going to be essential. It's going to help us diversify into each other's markets, improve our supply chains, and boost investment and trade. And this conference, the Canada-in-Asia Conference, isn't just another meeting. It's pivotal in convening all of you, and it will advance our success not only as CPTP partners, but also our success as partners, colleagues, friends, and allies here throughout the Indo-Pacific. So this commitment is real because I could see it across this room, and all of the multitude of activity that takes place throughout the year around this conference, and so much more because all of you, imagine the exponential effect of you being here, and then you share with someone, and then they share with someone, and then they share with someone. So thank you so much for being a part of this journey, and let's keep building this very, very important relationship between Canada and the Indo-Pacific, and dare I say, we have all it takes to succeed. I'm completely confident of that. Merci beaucoup tout le monde, and enjoy your conference.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Singapore. To those of you, a third of you who came from Canada, we try to make up for the temperature difference in this hall. But you are in the coolest period of Singapore's temperature. It doesn't get any cooler than this. But it is a nice balmy time to enjoy. I hope that in the next 2 days, amidst your very, very busy schedule, you'll have some time to walk around and to really take in the views. This is a great pleasure and honor for Singapore to be hosting this event. We are very, very privileged to have the trust and the confidence in the foundation as well as the organizers to again hold this for the third time in Singapore. It is my pleasure to join you once again at this year's Canada-in-Asia Conference. I would like to congratulate the organizers, Asia Pacific Foundation of Canada and Universities Canada for hosting a successful conference last year, particularly because I was a speaker, so it must have been successful. It can encourage important conversations on critical issues such as agri-food and climate change. And just listening to Minister Ng's speech, it's a wonderful speech, and I think that there's so many similarities that both countries have. We would like to see how we can explore the conference itself as opportunities for collaboration in innovation, in investments, in supply chains, in artificial intelligence to achieve sustainability goals. And these topics resonated with me as I get to see such interconnections in my work across the two ministries that I'm involved in. With my trade relations hat on, I'll speak on two issues which tie these teams together. And it will sound very similar to Minister Ng's because it's just how alike we think about issues like that. First, really, the importance of cooperation. Sounds like the bridges that she has mentioned, the cooperation between the two countries, the governments, as well as governments in the region to drive innovation, investments, and trade. And second, really the potential to leverage Singapore's connectivity in Asia and to the rest of the world for robust trade and supply chains. Businesses, universities, researchers using Singapore as the bridges to get out into the region, to get across the two Indo-Pacific regions. And that's really what we are doing here, to build the bridges as well to extend and extract the opportunities that are ahead of us. This year, Singapore and Canada celebrate 60 years of warm diplomatic relations as like-minded partners that cooperate on multiple fronts. In May last year, our countries recognized the strategic role of collaboration in Singapore, technology and innovation, also known as ST&I, to strengthen both our economies and achieve sustainability goals. We released a joint statement to enhance bilateral cooperation in ST&I, and this statement will facilitate partnerships between Canadian and Singaporean companies by supporting activities in research and development. And since the joint statement, Enterprise Singapore's Global Innovation Alliance, GIA, and the Canadian National Research Council's Industrial Research Assistance Program, it's a very long acronym, it goes for NRCIRAP, have been working together to launch a co-innovation program in the first half of this year. This collaboration will leverage our respective strengths in the development and commercialization of cross-border R&D projects between Singaporean and Canadian companies. Both countries are very keen to increase the depth of our science and technology innovation capabilities, at the same time helping to bring these technologies into the commercial world. And I think this is the kind of bridge that we are very excited about. In addition, Singapore and Canada have concluded a framework for green economy cooperation. Under this framework, both countries will explore areas of collaboration in green and low-carbon technologies, carbon pricing and carbon markets, trade and green economy initiatives, and green and transition financing. Both countries are currently working closely together to identify areas of mutual interest to advance under this framework. The joint statement and framework are but examples of how Singapore and Canada are actively pursuing new frontiers of cooperation. These platforms provide a broad range of opportunities for our countries to work together in promoting greater bilateral innovation and investments. It's not just trade, but it's really deepening the capability of both economies. Beyond bilateral platforms, broader architectures are also crucial in helping us weather global shifts and seize new growth opportunities. Doing so is pertinent in the face of an increasingly fragmented and unpredictable international operating environment. I don't think I need to explain this to the Canadians. Therefore, it is heartening to see that Singapore and Canada remain committed to multilateral platforms like the WTO and plurilateral groupings such as APEC and the CPTPP. As chair of the CPTPP Commission in 2024, Canada hosted the 8th CPTPP meeting in Vancouver last November. Members reaffirmed their commitment to upholding transparent, predictable, rule-based trade to ensure that the Asia-Pacific region remains open, stable, and prosperous. As one of the largest region trade agreements, the CPTPP is an example of how close cooperation among and between companies can have a far-reaching impact on trade. The CPTPP has delivered economic benefits to businesses, workers, created jobs, and consumers by increasing trade among CPTPP members. Trade in groups is estimated to have increased from US $467 billion in 2019 to US $535 billion in 2021. This amounts to an almost 15% increase despite the COVID-19 pandemic, as CPTPP members collaborated during the pandemic to maintain the flow of essential goods and address supply chain vulnerabilities. The agreement sets a global benchmark for high standard trade rules, including provisions on topical issues such as e-commerce and intellectual property protection. This creates a more predictable and transparent business environment across CPTPP economies. The ongoing CPTPP General Review further reinforces that the CPTPP continues to be a living agreement and one that's designed to adapt to new trade and economic challenges. And here I will invite members to contribute to this process by giving your inputs to your respective governments so that we can take in these inputs to make the agreements more relevant to you. It's important that we make the agreements alive and relevant, and you are really an important part of this, initiative. The UK's recent entry to the CPTPP underscores the agreement's growing economic heft and potential for the CPTPP to advance economic integration in Asia-Pacific and beyond. With the UK's accession, the CPTPP is projected to represent 15% of global GDP. And beyond the UK, CPTPP parties have already commenced accession process for Costa Rica and have received 6 other accession requests. This is a strong reflection of the CPTPP's continued appeal and its value in promoting trade and economic integration. I've spoken on the importance of bilateral, plurilateral, and multilateral cooperation in driving innovation, investments, and trade. A key enabler needed to reap the benefits of the various trade initiatives is our supply chain connectivity. The COVID-19 pandemic, geopolitical tensions, and climate-related events have highlighted the vulnerabilities of global supply chains and the need to diversify these supply chains for greater resilience. Singapore's strategic position in the heart of Asia positions us as a key node in regional supply chains. As more companies look to diversify their production base and supply chains, many firms, including Canadian ones, recognize our value proposition as a gateway to the region. One such example is Bombardier, a leading Canadian aircraft original equipment manufacturer, OEM. In 2022, Bombardier expanded its business aviation maintenance, repair, and overhaul MRO operations in Singapore by quadrupling the size of its existing service center. Its investment in Singapore has allowed it to capture growth opportunities by providing quicker aircraft turnarounds and convenience to their growing customer base in the Asia-Pacific region. This has allowed Bombardier to redefine its position as a leader in aftermarket services in Asia-Pacific, enabling it in turn to further grow its global network. Furthermore, our advanced transportation and logistics infrastructure allows us to play a pivotal role in global supply chains, connecting markets across continents. Singapore is a global transshipment hub with connections to more than 600 ports worldwide. Our world-class port reached a new high of handling over 41 million TEUs of shipping container throughput in 2024. When Tuas Port is fully operational in the 2040s, we will have a total handling capacity of 65 million TEUs annually. Additionally, Changi Airport, the largest air cargo hub in Southeast Asia, linked to more than 150 cities worldwide, processed 1.99 million tons of international cargo throughput in 2024. With the upcoming Terminal 5, our air cargo handling capacities will be expanded. These major investments in Changi Airport and Tuas Port will enable us to deepen our regional and global connectivity, further anchoring Singapore as a leading air and sea hub in the region. And in the most recent budget announcement that the Prime Minister has made, significant investments has been put aside as a fund to fund these investments. And it's a very clear signal from the government's point of view to signal our resolute in furthering the expansion and to make our connectivity, our infrastructure relevant for the future. Given our strong connectivity, there's good potential for the trade and investment ties between Singapore and Canada to strengthen. We welcome the opening of APF Canada's new office in Singapore this year as a great gateway into Asia. As Canada seeks to increase in engagement of the Indo-Pacific, Canadian businesses can tap Singapore's connectivity and locality to facilitate their entry into the region. Likewise, Singapore companies can explore the opportunities for expansion into Canada. There are already some success stories. An example is ST Engineering, a global technology and engineering group which has been active in Canada for many years, contributed its smart city expertise and solutions to various projects. Through its urban solutions business, ST Engineering set up an office in Toronto last year to support the delivery of its platform screen door deployment for the new Ontario line, a rapid transit line in Toronto. It has also deployed its smart lighting management solution in Montreal, helping to modernize the city's street lighting infrastructure. ST Engineering's long-standing presence in Canada underscores the country's strong market appeal and potential. And once again, in the latest budget, PM has also signaled investments and grants to help Singapore companies transform and globalize. So for the Singapore companies here, please do make use of these grants and schemes that has been announced recently. In closing, opportunities abound for further trade, investments, and economic collaboration between Asia and Canada. I hope that through this conference, the interaction between thought leaders, policy makers, business leaders, and investors from many sectors will spark fresh and innovative ideas to drive sustainable solutions for our global economy today. And just one last note on, the future, how we see the future. In Singapore, obviously, we are all tightening our seatbelts, ready for a very turbulent time ahead of us. But in this turbulence, we see that the most trusted, the most confident, the most open to market, the most respect for agreements, respect for the rule of law, will earn the trust of others. And we see that it's a great opportunity for us, like-minded economies, to work together to further the economic progress and also benefit our consumers in our respective markets. While there are many dark clouds ahead of us, we see rays of suns piercing through, and it's for all of us to work together to reach those sunlights, and Singapore in a warmer tropical area would be one such place for you. Thank you very much.